Hi there, and this is part 5 of my Silver Solstice series, which is an analysis of my recent video, which is called The Rainbow Portal, Silver Ray and the Two Worlds Split, Winter Solstice 2017. So the next part, many walk across the rainbow bridge between the worlds from the old Earth to the new Earth. The crossing of the rainbow bridge has been taking place since your 11-11-11, increasing exponentially around the time of your winter solstice 2012. So many walk across the rainbow bridge between the worlds from the old Earth to the new Earth. So I've spoken in earlier sections of this analysis that we're walking from one Earth to another, the third dimensional Earth to the fifth dimensional Earth. So we are actually existing within a consciousness that is a superimposed reality, one on top of the other. The metaphor is that we are walking across from one world to another, and the metaphor is that there's a bridge connecting these two worlds, and that bridge is a rainbow bridge. So we're walking across a rainbow from the third dimensional Earth to the fifth dimensional Earth. So I've already explained the my interpretation anyway. Others may interpret this information differently, but I've explained my interpretation of these worlds, these dimensions. So what's the rainbow bridge? What is the connection between the two? So it's my understanding that this is the transition period. This is the moment of expansion where you are betwixt one dimension and the other. You could, in effect, call this a fourth dimension because you are moving from the third to the fifth. So you would expect that perhaps the rainbow bridge would be a fourth dimension, but actually that's not really the most accurate way of looking at this metaphor. We've got the third dimension, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension. The rainbow bridge is more the transition. So if you imagine a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, and the cocoon in the middle, the rainbow bridge is kind of like the cocoon. It's the moment of transformation. Now, if we actually look at the brain, we do actually have two hemispheres of the brain, and we have the corpus callosum that connects the two hemispheres together. One could say that that is one world and another world and the rainbow bridge. That also would fit within the biology of a human being. And there are many different ways to look at the rainbow bridge, but this is very much about being in transition, being in transit, being in a state of transformation. The rainbow is the activation of the energy centers, the chakra system, and also the DNA template, the growing and the activation of that new strand. So, but even then, it's not as if this is just one template for now. So the metaphoric template for now is we were in the third dimensional Earth, we're walking over this bridge, and we're landing in the fifth, and that's our destination. But that's only a tiny section of this huge geometric journey that we are taking. If we look at the ultimate geometry, the rainbow bridge is the core that is connecting all these dimensions together. And once we've had a fifth dimensional experience, then we'll be walking the rainbow bridge to the sixth dimension and the seventh and the eighth, and it goes on and on. It's a journey of the soul. The crossing of the rainbow bridge has been taking place since your 11-11-11. So I'll explain that a little bit. Many individuals have crossed that rainbow bridge into the fifth dimension way before 11-11-11, since the beginning of our known history and well before that. But the difference is that's been done in small groups and on an individual basis. Individual ascension, individual group work. The reason why they mention the 11-11-11 is this is what's happening in this time period, on this planet, in this dimension, in this timeline, on a global level. So the 11-11-11 was when many started to move to this fifth dimensional Earth. And when I say 11-11-11, which is the 11th of November 2011, it would have been around that time. So it could have happened in April, it could have happened in the year before, it could have happened the day before. It's it's just a culmination point for an event or an experience or a global collective movement or vision, and that's just the point one looks at, increasing exponentially around the time of your winter solstice 2012. So yes, I mean, that was an exponential increase because the winter solstice 2012 became, you know, pretty much world known, for good reasons, for bad reasons. People would dismiss it, think it's nonsense. People made films about it. Much negative talk was spread about the winter solstice 2012 and the end of the world and all this sort of stuff. But this was an exponential increase from individuals walking from a third dimensional existence into a fifth dimensional existence, from the old earth to the new earth. That's what this was about. And that was, you know, a main culmination point, a main spike, and possibly the most significant time when looking at time as a whole in this particular time period for this planet. So if you were outside of Earth and you were a higher being and you could see through many dimensions, you would look at Earth and think, oh, the time clock here for planet Earth that they're going to go through this mass awakening is 2012. About the winter solstice or summer solstice, depending on where you are in the world. The solstice point, 2012. But that's just again, it's just a spike within this evolution. And that would signify a huge change, because you were moving from you were moving from a sort of a known timeline, many timelines that have been laid out beforehand by others within that pre-incarnate or higher self viewpoint. One would have laid out a blueprint for this planet and for humanity. And after 2012, it was like an unknown quantity, if you like. It's like the blueprints and the timelines haven't been laid out, because now everyone's doing it themselves from the 0 point while they're in incarnation. So just a slight change in perspective there. Now, as you move into this December portal, that's this one in 2017, many more, well, where we are now today, as we approach the winter solstice this month, many more join you as they too walk the rainbow bridge from the old earth into the new reality of the new earth. So many starseeds went through this sort of transformative experience around the winter solstice 2012, and now lots more have joined us, and they are now going through this experience. They have activated those templates, they have activated the memories, they're aware of being starseeds. So there's just more of us now, as we are sort of a few years on from 2012, we're now in 2017. All this is superimposed into your absolute now. So the 2012 energy, the 2017 energy, the walking of the rainbow bridge from one earth to another earth, the merging of these dimensions, it's all superimposed into the absolute now. So wherever you are today, wherever you are right now, watching this video right now, right now this minute is your 0 point moment. And you can have all those energies. Even if nothing happens to you, you had no experience and no awareness around the 11/11/11 or the 21st of December 2012, you can hold that now, because this is a 0 point energy. This is a free energy, an infinite energy point. The 0 point is absolute abundance. And it isn't necessarily abundance of things and matter. It's an abundance of creative potential. That's what the 0 point is. It's a potential energy. You can go anywhere with it. You can create anything with it, because it's pure creation. So that is superimposed into your absolute now. It occurs wherever you are, wherever you stand. So this whole experience is occurring wherever you are. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to travel to another country or go to a meeting or go to a meditation room or anything. All of this is with you wherever you are. The rainbow bridge is within. The manifested reality you live in is a merge of the old earth and the new earth. Yet now, with the extreme polarization of humanity, the two-world split is most obvious. It can be tangibly seen. So the rainbow bridge is within. This is the hyperspace, higher dimensional landscape. This is the language of light communication. This is direct communication with the subconscious mind and the DNA. So that's the rainbow bridge, but it is a bridge, and you are crossing from one point to another. You are moving from one state to another. You are moving from an old state that no longer is appropriate or no longer matches this planet, this humanity, moving to a state that does match, that is appropriate for humanity. So that is happening. Even though this rainbow bridge is within, doesn't mean it should be dismissed because it's an imaginary rainbow bridge. It is actually a real tangible part of you. Within the brain, as I've said, you have the corpus callosum, and within the DNA fields, I mean, I haven't seen what DNA looks like, but there is a rainbow bridge within the DNA. If one were to look at the actual DNA, one would see these formations within the strands. The 9 tell me that the double helix becomes the triple helix, and new strands are grown on an etheric level, changing the physical level. The actual DNA template is changing, and what's actually happening is you have these little dormant strands. They're in the brain and in the DNA, and then light kind of is activated from them or goes into them, and so it sort of brings these strands within the brain and within the DNA online, giving us memory, and not just memory, but giving us potentially the ability to do things we couldn't do before. I'm not saying we're all going to be wizards and we're able to move things with our mind and become telepathic and shapeshift and all that. That is definitely a result of DNA change. We haven't quite got there yet, but we don't want to run before we can walk, and we want to enjoy every stage of the journey. That is in our future. It is in our timeline. But right now, it's about awareness and expansion. It's about just activating more of our brains so that we're not dumbed down. We're not living in ignorance. We're living with wisdom. We're living with insight. We're living with clarity. That's what this is. The manifested reality you live in is a merge of the old earth and the new earth. So that's one way of looking at this, that the old earth and the new earth are merged. Rather than superimposed upon one another, they're merged together. So when that happens, it's not quite so easy to see which is which. Sometimes you might think, oh, was that a fifth dimensional thought, or was that a third dimensional thought? Am I thinking with the higher objective reality, or am I thinking with my emotions, with my third dimensional emotions? And how do I work those together? So it's a merge. One has to learn which is fifth dimensional, which is third dimensional, and one doesn't reject the third dimension. One doesn't reject the third dimensional emotions in favor of these higher energies. One works with all of them and integrates them together. Yet now, with the extreme polarization of humanity, the two-world split is most obvious. It can be tangibly seen. So now it's easier for us to think, that's fifth dimensional, that's third dimensional. This is the part of me that is a third dimensional ego thinking person, which I embrace and I know is most important, because always remember, the third dimension is just as important as the fifth dimension and the fourth dimension. They are simply colours within a rainbow. No one colour is better than the other. They are simply musical notes within a symphony. One has to have them all to play the tune. You can't just, bye-bye third dimension, bye-bye linear time, I'm off. Because that's just as unbalanced as not waking up at all. In truth, this is actually a three-world split. There is a trine here. Yet within this transmission we present that which is tangibly seen and felt within your month of December 2017. So they're saying, in truth, this is a three-world split. It's 3, not 2. there is a trine, there is a sacred trine. But in December 2017, what's tangibly seen and felt is this extreme polarization within humanity. Therefore, two worlds, two realities, two dimensions, and we can feel them. We can experience when we're in one or the other and which one we're existing within. We're making a choice. So that's why this transmission is all about the two world split. At a later date, when that third reality is more obvious and more tangible within the physical dimension, the Nine will speak more about this. This is not to say that there are not some individuals that do see the trine. There are. There are individuals who are working with the Holy Trinity. There are always individuals that will go forward into the energetic formations and geometries to anchor them down. So if you've been a starseed for many years and you are following a spiritual journey and you've been going along with all of this ascension process with awareness for a long time, you are more than likely seeing the trine, the three-way split. But it isn't obvious to everybody, and it's not obvious to the newly awakened, and it's not obvious to those who are still asleep. So that's why the Nine are speaking about that in this transmission. They're talking about the two-world split. The sacred trine is not yet tangible within your reality in the way that the dualistic polarization of the two-world split is. So it is this pattern we present at this time, and I just explained that. So the two-world split has been evident within your spiritual fields, shall we say, for some time. Yet now this enters the arena within the political world, touching finance, commerce, community, and all that goes with this. The strong family create their own reality bubbles within this polarization and find solace and strength there. The dysfunctional, broken family will mirror the global polarization as a mini split takes place within. We speak not of blood relatives as a family, but also of the like-minded, where hobbies and interests, work patterns, and thought processes are similar. The awakened ones are aware of the family of light, which has been building in intensity as a living rainbow of colour. The family awaits those who walk the rainbow bridge and step into the glorious, harmonious, welcoming fields of the new fifth dimensional earth, the true home. So I will finish when I finished analysing that section. The two-world split has been evident within your spiritual fields, shall we say, for some time. Now I would interpret that as meaning exactly what I'm saying about there are many starseeds and spiritual teachers and ascension workers that are experiencing the trine. They're experiencing the trine within their own hyperspace reality, within their expansion, within their awareness, and within their own makeup as an individual. But it's not evident within the reality, within the humanity, within the third dimensional tangible reality. So that's how it's been with the polarization. This two-world split's been evident within the spiritual fields for a long time. So the spiritual teachers, individuals working with Ascension, have been aware of the two-world split, the old earth and the new earth. They've been aware of a timeline split. So you will hear many other spiritual teachers speaking about the two-world split in one way or another, and many of them will have different explanations and different models to explain what is happening. And these individuals that are talking about the two-world split, they don't know each other and they haven't all got together to confer and say, hey, let's release an information about a two-world split next. They are picking this up. This is a download, this is an awareness, this is an understanding of energetic frequency. And now in this month of December 2017, it's settling tangibly into the reality we see. So now this enters the arena within the political world, which is really where it's most evident. Finance, so money, economy, commerce, community, and all that goes with this. So, you know, jobs and career and the whole social structure within the system, within the political arena, massively evident is this two-world split. The strong family create their own reality bubbles within this polarization and find solace and strength there. So you're looking at a family, let's say it is a blood family, very close, all like-minded. This is most rare, I have to say. Most starseeds are within dysfunctional, broken families, but you will have some that are in a harmonious state, so that, and I'm talking about blood families, so they can find solace and strength with the like-minded, with the family, the blood relative family I'm speaking about at the moment. The dysfunctional, broken family, which is more common because that is a greater learning experience. If we've got family members that we love that are not in alignment and in harmony with our belief system, it's a huge learning experience for them and for us. So that's why this happens. The broken family will mirror the global polarization as a mini split takes place within. So within a family unit, there's going to be a polarization, just like there is within the global reality, just like there is within the tangible political human scene. We'll find this in families. So one group of relatives are over here and another group of relatives are over here, and they're in a polarization. They're in a mini split, and we've got some in the old earth and some in the new earth, or some in the old energy, the third dimensional reality, some in the new energy, the fifth dimensional reality. We speak not just of blood relatives as a family, so that's important. The nine are not talking just about your family that you're related to. They're talking about the like-minded, so groups where there are hobbies, interests. So we're looking at clubs and get-togethers and communities and theatre goers and bingo players and you name it. Work patterns and thought process are similar. So individuals who are within one religious section or within one particular group of study, one university. I mean, we're looking at many different families, many different structures that would be classed as a family unit. And so the same thing is happening there. In the strong, unified group, you will find solace and you will find strength. So, and there will be that for you somewhere in your reality, there will be that. It may just be, I say just, it may be online. And I say just online, I shouldn't say just, because an online community is extremely supportive and so very, very important, because the internet is what has joined us all together. I mean, we could say that the Rainbow Bridge is on the internet, because that's what's connecting all these sections of humanity together. When we're looking at the positive aspect of the internet, obviously there's a dark side as well, as there is with everything, and there again we have polarity. The awakened ones are aware of the family of light. So yes, you ask any awakened individual, they are aware of this family of soul brothers and sisters that, and it goes beyond just like-minded individuals. We all have the same belief in, you know, the dark structure is coming to light, and that you know, the hidden truths are coming together, and we're all finding out what's really been happening on this planet, and we're learning about the true history, and we all feel the same, and we all are activating our chakras, etc., etc. It's more than just that. What it actually is this family have known each other before. They know each other on a soul level, all of them in different ways. Some are much, much closer in their knowing than others, but they are a group that have come from many, many different places, many, many different planetary systems and dimensions, but they know who they are and they know one another. They recognize one another. So they really are a family, a soul family rather than a blood family. The awakened ones are aware of the family of light, which has been building in intensity as a living rainbow of color. Now, that living rainbow is the activated chakra system, the activated energy centers. And if you take the view of the higher dimensional entities, they will look down and see a rainbow. So if you were to see all the star seeds and the activated individuals as lights upon the planet, there's this massive, huge rainbow of color, because you have the indigos and the crystals and the rainbow children, and you have the blue ray individuals, and you have the open-hearted green ray individuals and the violet ray, and then you know, you have all these chakras and all these auric colors, the fields of color within the matrix, which are strands of awareness. And each individual is building a rainbow around them and building a rainbow around each other and around the planet. This family awaits those who walk the rainbow bridge and step into the glorious, harmonious, welcoming fields of the new fifth dimensional earth, the true home. So anyone who is newly awakened and has found themselves within this strange but lovely place, these are individuals who are taking the awareness of truth within their stride, almost as if they're saying, I knew that there wasn't something quite right with the old energy, the old earth. I knew there was more of a reality. And they are embracing joy and love and happiness as they come into this. Well, this family of light are awaiting them as they step into this glorious, welcoming, harmonious field of the new fifth dimensional earth, the true home. There are going to be those who wake up and don't have that settled realization. They're going to be rebelling against what they see, and they are not going to be transitioning into the new earth when they feel that way. They will still be working through the old earth. There's nothing wrong with that. One mustn't look down on people who haven't woken up, or look at them, oh, poor you, I'm over here and I'm enlightened and you're not. We mustn't have that energy within us. It's very much about service to those people and assisting them as much as we can without burning ourselves out. We are in service to them and are there when they need us, should they need us. And when they do turn and think, wow, there is a whole other reality, there is a whole other group of individuals, and they are finding joy, and they are doing things about what's going on this third dimensional earth. They are making changes together. And then they start to open their hearts and start to move into the spiritual life. I'm not saying that being in the fifth dimensional earth and being spiritually aware is so blissful and so wonderful that you just don't experience any darkness at all, and that you are completely and utterly separate from any kind of challenge. That's not the case. Even if we are fully existing within the fifth dimensional earth, the new earth, we are superimposed with the third dimension, and we are seeing the third dimension all around us, and we do get affected by that. We do get affected by the challenges and what's going on, and it does affect us. What we are aiming to do is to not be dragged into the third dimensional reality through our lower emotional scale, and not be able to sort of get back into that higher place. What we're aiming to do is be as compassionate as we can, take action as much as we can, help in any way that we can, and assist in making those changes. Because the thing is, you can't assist the third dimension from a complete immersion in the third dimension. You have to be outside of the third dimension as well as in the third dimension to assist it. Because if you completely immerse yourself in it, you are lost to those higher streams. You can't access them. So one must be able to be in both, anchor oneself in the third dimension, open to the fifth dimensional energy, and then one can make the changes. And I think it was Einstein who said, you can't solve a problem from the level of the problem. You need to go above the level of the problem to solve the problem, or words to that effect. That's the truth. That's the physics of this. That's the geometry of this. That's how it works. Okay, so that's the end of this section of analysis. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will be back soon with more. I've got 9 pages to get through here, so you'll be seeing a lot of me over the next few days or weeks, or however long it takes me to, well, hopefully not weeks. I'd like to get this out by the winter solstice. So over the next few days of December, you'll be seeing me, and I will be back with more analysis. And thank you so much for listening. Bye. We are now at a time in our planetary evolution known as Ascension.
Those individuals we can call starseeds are currently in their millions and are collectively going through this awakening process. In this book, the 9 bring forward memory triggers designed to act as a catalyst into the awakening process. They present a model of working with the individualized matrix field, known also as the Merkaba, through matrix architecture, Merkaba magic, and the golden triad of Ascension, presenting an in-depth analysis and explanation of the twin flame consciousness and how this relates to the Ascension, as well as providing triggers to the collective memory experience known as Atlantis. This transmission is designed to trigger your multidimensional memory as you begin the construction of the Merkaba matrix and embrace the inner archetype of the architect. The triggers contained within this material are there to assist you in accessing the codes for the new formation of the original crystalline DNA matrix. I, Magenta Pixie, am so happy to present this transmission to you from the White-Winged Collective Consciousness of 9. Divine Architecture and the Starseed Template.